Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Today we're going to learn about growing green beans from seed to harvest. Let's go. Well, in this video there's going to be some footage that if you subscribe to my channel and watch many of my videos, maybe you've seen it before. We planted green beans in a previous video. I showed you how to sow the seeds, how to build a net trellis. Well, I'm going to put that in this video as well, and we're going to do a seed to harvest video and just use that footage so I don't have to do it over. So yeah, green beans, man, they're awesome, and I want to show you mine. I've got some nice soil here that I fluffed up with my stirrup hoe, and I've broken up the surface because I didn't mulch the winter garden. The surface where it is exposed to the sun has become kind of hard and dry and coarse. So what I did, I took my scuffle hoe and I brought up some of that good soil that's down, that fine soil down below. And we've prepared 3 rows here. I'm just going to grow 3 rows of beans. I find that that's plenty for our family. It keeps us into beans for a long time. 3 rows is sufficient. We'll put a net trellis over these rows. But first let's get our beans in. Typically you plant a green bean directly in the soil when the weather is warm. These beans prefer 65 to 70 degrees. That's the lowest, that's what it says on here. And they will produce until it gets up into the 90s, and then they won't like it so much. And they'll look pretty pathetic when the heat comes on. But in between then and now, we've got plenty of time to get some green beans. So let me make a furrow here in my rows. Maybe a little less. I'm spacing my rows pretty close. Some people have said that I space my beans too close, and that's not the case. I have found that when they're this close together, about 2 feet, when they're 2 feet apart, there's plenty of space in between for me to get in there and harvest. And since the sun transits this way, it covers all my needs. I like Johnny's seeds, but you can get your seeds from virtually anywhere. If you want to support an excellent seed company, go over to Seeds for Generations. Use my link down in the description box, and that will be supporting our channel. So I'm just placing these seeds about 5 inches apart. Read your seed packet for spacing information. Any of these seeds that look damaged, I'll throw out. And I'm just going to put these in, like I said, about 5 inches apart. The seed packet tells me that we should be eating green beans in about 55 days. That's pretty quick. All right, let's get on the other side. And that's all there is to a net trellis. Our beans, when they sprout, they'll find this trellis. They'll find it quite quickly, actually. And we'll begin their journey upward. They will get to the top and kind of fold over on themselves if they're particularly vigorous. And that's when you got to get out here and kind of deal with that. All right. These beans need a lot of water to get going, so don't be skimpy on them. I'm going to put this entire 2.5 gallons on this side and then another 2.5 gallons on the other side. We want that soil to settle around those beans, hydrate them, and get them germinated quickly. We want to come out and do this every day until they come up. Keep your beans nice and watered. Check it out. We got some little ones here, higher up at the top. But way down here, we have some green beans that are perfect size for harvesting. That's what I'm after right there. So I'm going to harvest some green beans, and I'm going to show you how to top these things so they'll, well, they've maxed out the trellis and they're kind of going crazy. So what do we do when they get to the top of the trellis? Let me show you. All right, these vines are already at the top of this trellis. This is a rather short trellis. Now I could let them go and tumble back down and you know, just kind of tangle. But what we can do is top these, and that will encourage more growth, more budding, and more flowering, and more fruits or pods down below. So you can do that. You can top your vines, and as with any plant, that knocks back the apical dominance and tells the rest of the plant, well, we got to grow outwardly rather than upwardly. So you can do that, or you can just let them go. Let's pick some beans. The smaller the green beans are, the more tender they are, obviously. And I like these young, small beans. Some of these down in here, though, are actually just perfect, just the right size. Just what I'm looking for. I mean, perfect. This variety is new to me. Last year I grew, what was it, rattlesnake pole beans? They did well. They were good, but they still had a bit of a string. I'm looking for a true stringless green bean. Something that does not have any kind of string whatsoever. And this was recommended to me. This is Seychelles, and it's a hybrid. And I'm going to pick as many of these as I can find that are the right size. The more you pick, the more you get. Keep your green beans picked and they will keep producing for you. At least these vining types. Now, when we're talking about green beans, you can get bush beans that don't need a support like this trellis. And those bush beans will keep producing for you too if you keep them picked. Now, a lot of folks question my spacing. These vines are so close together, but the sun transits this way and you can see they do just fine. The beans grow close together like this. They're not a dense plant, so they get plenty of sunlight. And you can see I can reach in here and I can get the beans that I want. No trouble at all. Perfect. Man, there's a lot of beans in here that I didn't see before. That's the thing about these green beans, is they kind of hide from you. And while we're in here, we can pull up the weeds that we see along the way. And it's natural when the beans get mature for these leaves down at the bottom to yellow, because they're not getting sunlight. It's those beans, those leaves up above are getting most of the sunlight. And so your lower leaves naturally are going to turn yellow, die off. That's just nature. Look at all these beans, wow. If you like them really tender, get them young and get them small, because beans will grow quickly and quickly turn on you into gigantic string-filled beasts. So keep them picked and they'll keep you into some beans. Yeah, look at that. This one's doing real good over here. Well, I know what we're eating tonight. I like the smell of fresh picked green beans. When I was a little boy, my neighbors had a garden and they grew green beans, and it was always fun to go into that garden. We'd go in there and play and hide in the beans and pick them, and they always had that fresh green bean smell. And every time I pick green beans, it takes me back, and I remember the taste of these green beans and the smell. And I was fascinated that, wow, this family's just growing food. Perhaps that's one reason why I garden now. Who knows? Once again, weed while you go. All right, I think we got them all. Oh no, there's some big ones down there. Wow. Now, if you remember, we planted these beans and put this net trellis in here, and I didn't do anything to direct the beans to the trellis. They found it on their own. That's typically what happens with these climbing beans, these vining beans. They're so easy. You don't even have to do anything. Well, there it is, our first green bean harvest. Check it out. That's enough for my family. Fresh green beans, you can't beat it. Seychelles variety. a hybrid from Johnny Seeds. We're going to enjoy these. Hey, thanks for joining me today on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. I'm going to get cooking, and I hope you get to planting. Hope your garden's doing well. Please subscribe and like our videos. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.